And this, right here, brings us to what I'm calling the 60-year problem. Because this one little story, this one shouting match, it creates a massive, massive puzzle when you look at the dates.
Okay, let's just lay this out on a timeline so you can see it clearly. The traditional story, right, says John was already an old man when he was writing his gospel, somewhere around the year 90 AD. But the bathhouse story puts him alive, kicking, and apparently yelling at people in Rome around 150 AD. See the problem?
So here's the kicker. That's a 60-year gap we're talking about. 60 years. So for John to be an old man writing in 90 AD and still be around, having heated arguments in a Roman bathhouse in 150 AD, I mean, that's stretching things a bit, right? It's highly, highly improbable.
And this is the question at the very heart of this whole theory. Is it even possible we're talking about the same person? Or does this story actually point to something completely different, something we haven't considered?
So you might be wondering, how does the theory get around this huge problem? Well, the solution it proposes is actually pretty simple, but it's also totally radical. It says, what if the story is true, but it's just not about the John we think it is? What if it's about a completely different John? A John who was an author, sure, but one who lived in the 2nd century, in Rome, not the 1st century disciple from Galilee.
And this really breaks down the argument. Check it out. On one side, you've got the traditional John we all know, from the 1st century, an observant Jew from Galilee. But on the other side, you've got this bathhouse John, a guy who's active in cosmopolitan Rome in the middle of the 2nd century, and who, by the way, writes in really good Greek. The theory just asks us to look at these two profiles and wonder, are we really truly talking about the same guy?
So let's get down to it. Why does this one story matter so much? What's the big deal? Well, if you decide to believe that this bathhouse encounter actually happened, and that the John in the story really is the author of the gospel, then the implications they're absolutely huge.
The whole argument boils down to this. The encounter in the bathhouse could only have happened after Marcion published his controversial ideas in 144 AD. I mean, that's how John would have known who he was and why he was so upset, right? And if this John is our author, then it's impossible for the Gospel of John to have been written back in 90 AD. It has to be dated to sometime after 144 AD. And that doesn't just nudge the timeline, it completely rewrites its place in history. It's just such a fascinating theory, isn't it? And it's all built on this one, single, explosive anecdote. And it really makes you think. It forces you to ask a pretty fundamental question about how we even understand the past. Just how much weight can we put on a single, dramatic story? Can one story really change everything we thought we knew? It makes you wonder, what other stories are out there, just waiting to be rediscovered?